You come down here often and have coffee?
Yeah, I try to make it down here a couple times a week. I like the Bean. It's a good place. Good coffee, good people.
Yeah.
Meet good people. If it weren't for the Bean, I wouldn't be living where I'm living today.
Why is that?
Well, I met Whit. You know Whit.
Yep.
And, I was doing the Nantucket Shuffle like so many other people on Nantucket because of the housing situation. And I mentioned to him that I was looking for a place, that I was about ready to move off island. And he said he'd keep his ears out. Next thing I know, I get a phone call from a friend of his saying that she's got a place to live.
Oh, dynamite.
Yeah.
And I noticed you have an accent.
Yeah, Midwest accent.
That's what that is?
I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Born in North Kingston, Rhode Island, grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska.
What was that like? When you describe the Midwest and life in the Midwest, how do you describe that to people?
Boy, it's pretty clean. People stop at stop signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is family still there?
Yeah. My mom's still there. My dad died a couple of years ago. I was thinking about him today. He had a big influence on me.
Today. Oh, do you have any kids?
Yeah, I have a son.
Oh, hell, happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he lives out in Colorado. But growing up in Lincoln, Nebraska, it's a good life. It's not terribly exciting, but they do have some arts there. Sure. University of Nebraska's there. Of course, Go Big Red football, all that business.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good-sized town, Lincoln.
Yeah.
And what do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm doing carpentry. My passion, though, is horticulture. I had a business out in Colorado, Kinnickinnick, design, build, landscape, and I'm a true landscaper at heart.
Why are you doing carpentry then?
Pays better.
Okay. Would you, if your passion is design, I mean, this would be a great place to get involved, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I am new to the island.
Oh, okay.
I'm just learning about, who's where and who's doing what, and I would like to get into design.
And when you say design, do you actually go and draw the pictures, or do you actually plan?
Yeah. I interview the client. I find out their needs, their wants, and then I sit down and maybe for an hour interview them and ask them their favorite colors, their favorite childhood memories in the landscape, or hiding under bushes, or climbing trees, or stuff like that.
Oh, really?
And I try to incorporate some of those memories into their landscape if it's possible. And, talk about perennials, talk about annuals, talk about shrubs, talk about trees, the ones they love, the ones that they hate. And I really get a good feel for the clients. Now
that obviously the Midwest is a little different than living out 30 miles out at sea,
Yes. Yep.
Horticulturally.
Yep.
What have you learned, or what have you noticed about here that you like so much?
Well, the thing about Colorado, where I was, it's pretty dry. That was the high desert. And they get about 12 inches of rain a year. And out there it's called xeriscaping when you do a water-wise garden. It comes from the word xeric, which is Greek for without water. Out here, you guys get about 38 inches of rain annually. And so you get a lot more precipitation. So your palette is much larger out here, a palette of plants, but the palette of diseases is also larger, especially fungal diseases. So I'm learning all about that.
Is there a fungal disease that comes to mind when you mention that?
The fire blight is one.
Okay.
That's one. Just various people are always concerned when there's mushrooms growing in there or toadstools growing in their lawn. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
What are your thoughts on green lawns and keeping them like a golf course, where fertilizer is necessary?
Quite honestly, it's easy to do that without a lot of agrochemicals. If you use the right amount of fertilizer, you don't have to use a lot, just a little. A properly fertilized lawn is going to be more efficient at using water than a poorly fertilized lawn or an over-fertilized lawn.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of natural products that you can use. For instance, you can use, I can't think of the name of it now.
That's all right, it might come to you later.
Yeah.
But when you fertilize, is there a time of year better to do it for the...
Well, I would say if there's only one time a year that you could do it, it would be in the fall.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Why is that?
Well, it provides the grass the nutrients it needs to overwinter and come back strong in the spring. But ideally, it's good. Fertilize it in the fall, give it another boost in the spring, maybe one around the 4th of July, maybe one around mid-August, and another one in the fall.
So have you done teaching? Have you taught this stuff before as well?
Let me think about that. I've held small classes and for preschool. Actually, a Head Start program. I taught the kids how to start their vegetable starts, and then we did a little unit with the parents on nutrition. And it was really good. This is back in Denver. It was in kind of a high-risk neighborhood where they were getting for snacks a Coke and chips. And what I did was showed them how to grow tomatoes and herbs and stuff. And then we talked about
Get
nutrition.
them off the snack.
Exactly. And then I showed a little thing to the parents about how a Coke and chips compares to an apple and a glass of milk.
Did that affect? Did you make any change?
I hope.
It's not that easy, is it? They just love their sugar.
Yeah, you can only hope.
Well, this sounds very interesting. So if you were to take me like those things right across the way there, those are pansies.
Sure,
aren't they?
yeah. They're in the violet family. They're violas.
Yeah. If we were to just walk around a little bit, do you think you might be able to just point some stuff out to me?
God, I hope so.
Let's try it.
Okay, fair enough.
This place in here used to have the most amazing garden. Were you here then? They just changed it over when they built this place.
Actually, when I
So
came
this whole area was all garden.
Nice.
So what do we got here? What are we looking at here?
I don't know anything. That's a boxwood. Those are hostas. This is some ornamental grass.
That's a boxwood?
Yep, that's a boxwood.
What's that good for?
Well, boxwoods can be very formal. You can sculpt them into nice shapes, nice round shapes. You can make them into little squirrels.
Oh, that's right. Of course you can.
If you want to do a topiary like that. Here we've got a hosta. They do nicely in shade. Their planter boxes seem to be fairly nicely done. You've got opposing colors, opposite colors. I love ornamental grasses. This is a smaller ornamental grass. And nice thing about ornamental grasses, they can give you some winter interest as well if you leave them. A lot of people cut them back in the fall, but I always like leaving them. And then if you're able to do it, what I like to do around St. Patrick's Day, instead of cutting them back, is burn them. It takes about half the time, maybe even less, and it puts on a good show for the neighbors, and it's really good for the grass.
What do you mean it puts on a good show?
Well, you've got 20-foot flames coming up on some of the bigger grasses.
I don't think you get away with it here.
Not on Nantucket. You can do that out in Colorado though, on a still day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, let's go over here. Now these are hydrangeas, right?
You've got hydrangeas, and you've got a nice little boxwood hedge around here.
Yep.
And hydrangeas are nice because you get some nice color in the fall. Most all shrubs and trees are blooming in the spring, but hydrangeas, altheas, there's a few others that bloom in the fall, late summer, fall, and it gives you some nice color in that time of year.
Do you get hydrangeas in Colorado?
Yeah, we do.
You do?
And to make them blue, we have to add a lot of sulfur to the soil to acidify the soil.
Is that right? Is
Yeah.
that why they're so blue here?
Yeah, exactly. And people often add sulfur here just to make the soil a little more acidic.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Sulfur is a good thing to use. What you don't want to use is ammonium sulfate, aluminum sulfate. That has aluminum in it. But pelletized sulfur is fine, but you don't want to be adding aluminum into the environment.
Okay. What else? That's a rose?
Yeah, no, this is a peony.
What?
That's a peony.
A
And
peony.
peonies often, well, that doesn't have a lot of scent, but peonies often smell like roses. And peonies are great. Best time to divide peonies are in the fall, but I like peonies. And if you look at your peonies and you noticed ants on them, what's probably happening is that they also have aphids. And the ants actually use the aphids as we use cattle. They use aphids for their honeydew. They milk them for their honeydew, and they'll be moving the aphids around the plants and taking care of the aphids. So if you see ants, you probably have aphids. This is a Japanese maple, just like the maples that grow here, but Japanese maples usually need a little bit of protection. They're smaller, and of course the leaf looks similar to a marijuana leaf.
Well, being from Colorado, this makes you feel at home.
Yeah, right. But Japanese maples are great.
It's a very nice looking.
And walking up here, we saw a red one. They come in all sorts of sizes, shapes, and colors.
Now, how do you know so much about plants here too? Because the same plants are in
Some of them, like this. This is dogwood, and we use dogwoods out in Colorado. The ornamental grass that they're using here probably needs a little rejuvenation.
Yeah, it looks a little dry.
Yeah, yeah. I like their little planters there. That's another ornamental Japanese maple.
That is a Japanese.
Yeah. So here we have the cousin to the Japanese maple that we saw in the other place. This is another Japanese maple.
Very
Just
cool.
different color. And then right across the street under the sign is a lovely Japanese maple.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Look, before we take off here, I want to
Yeah.
thank you for showing us.
Certainly.
Maybe at some point we can do some more of this kind of thing together.
I would love
think
to,
it's-
Gino.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would like
this
that.
is fun.
What are you going to do with the rest of your day? I mean, what do you just take it easy on Sundays?
On Sundays I rest. I work hard during the week. On Sundays I rest. Yeah.
Now, as a carpenter, can you build anything? I mean, is that your thing too?
I can.
You do both.
Yep,
You're
yep.
Not,
And that's
you're
one
not
of the-
just a guy who picks stuff up and brings it over to the guy that cuts it and hammers it in.
I do that, but I can build also. Yeah. And one of the things I love about landscape is the hardscaping. Building the decks, building the walls, building the things that, flowers and trees and shrubs, they're pretty, but it's the bones of the structure that keep things together. Yeah.